What's going on, folks? Brian the Broker here. I'm tired of talking to you people about Crumble Cookie because you guys don't give me anything. You are the worst audience ever. Hi, Vigilante Show. Hi, Angry Vigilante Gamer. I hate you. Anyway, this is a video. What is architecture school really like? Take a drink of my water. By Mooch. Mooch doesn't make as many videos as he used to. He used to make a ton of videos. Then he went away. Then he come back. He make more videos. He go away. Then he come back. And as of late, I think he's just decided to say, hey, I'm going to stay away for a little bit. Man, you're mean to us, dude. You are mean to your audience. But anyway, he's actually a really cool dude. So I'm not going to say anything bad about him. Let's get into this video.
I decided I wanted to become an architect sometime around during high school. I didn't know anything about the career, except that a lot of people often say that you need to be really good at math and drawing. Even though I wasn't too good at either, I decided I still wanted to try to become one because it sounded like a cool idea to me. That's pretty much the only reason why. On my first day, I sat down for my very first class, Design 1. I had no idea what to expect. A few minutes later, the professor showed up with her iPhone in hand. She did not say anything. She just stood in front of the class, held up her phone, and snapped a picture. She said that the reason she did this was because when the semester was over, she promised that half of us would have quit. That was my first day of school.
That is very, very accurate. And it does happen because I think some people are in love with the idea of becoming an architect, but they don't really know what is fully expected of them in school. So, just because you love to draw does not mean you're going to be a good architect. Just because you love buildings does not mean you're going to be a good architect. Sometimes it's the things underneath that screws you up. Like example, you can draw, you could do everything on the computer, but you got to get a lot of math. You got to get a lot of science. If you're not good, I'm great at science. I kind of suck at math. But if you don't get good at one or the other, you're going to bomb. You could be great at math and science. If you can't get the computer work down, you're going to bomb and fail out. Now, there is a learning curve and there's tutors and everyone's there to help you out. But at the end, you got to push yourself through.
I promise you, I felt like getting up and leaving. I wish I would have had a better idea of what was in store for me so that I would not have had such a shock. And that's why I made this video, to give you an idea as to what architecture school is really like. For starters, you can pretty much divide architecture school into two parts, lower division and upper division. Lower division is made up of technical drawing classes, design classes from level 1 to 4, history, and theory classes. It's common to also take your college core classes while taking your architecture classes. But what does this all mean? Well, let's go over it. For your history of architecture classes, you will learn an overview of all the changes that have happened in architecture, from the ancient Egyptians to the Byzantine Empire, the Romans, the Gothic, and of course modern architecture. The point of these history classes is to help you understand why architecture exists the way it does and why it functions so differently in different parts of the world at different times in history. You're going to learn.
These are going to be a lot of classes that you're sometimes going to think are not needed. And they are. Even if you only take an architecture diploma course or an advanced diploma course, you're still going to have these courses. Now, some of the generals, you can kind of do without them. But like the theology, theory, history, those are things that you are going to need in, because you got to get a full understanding of architecture or engineering or construction in order to actually apply it into today's, well, in other words, it's the example of why we do things the way we do things now, because once upon a time we tried to do it a little differently and this is how it turned out.
A lot about cultures, religion, politics, and technology, and how each of those categories help shape and evolve architecture. Theory of architecture is a class where you will simply discuss architecture. For example, sometimes you'll talk about the psychology of space, other times you'll talk about the biggest failures in architecture and why they failed. These classes allow you to go really in depth and study very important topics about architecture. Architecture theory is like the philosophy of architecture, where you begin to develop a deeper understanding on why architecture is the way it is and how it could be better or worse. You're also going to be learning a lot about how to create architectural plans, especially by hand. You won't be making these plans by hand in upper division classes or even in the professional world. That's what we have computers for. But it's really important that you understand how to create these plans using the techniques they used just a few decades ago. These techniques
Always remember this. Now, yes, that is kind of true. Some people still love drafting. There's nothing wrong with drafting. I love it. I have a drafting table for a reason. But yes, as you get out there, you will do more on the computer, the laptop, your workstation. You may not do a lot of rendering. You're going to learn how to render, but most of your rendering, depending on where you go, is going to get sent out to be done. But yes, you do have to get the basics in. And one thing is drawing. If you suck at drawing, they're going to teach you how to draw, especially in lower level.
Drafting classes are really hands-on and can get expensive. You might have to buy Mylar and vellum paper, which is really high quality translucent paper that you can use to draw on using technical drafting pencils or pens. All these tools get really expensive over time, and you're going to have to continue purchasing them when they run out. Check out my description for a list of things you might need to buy for these classes.
Amazon is going to become your best friend. Blix is going to become your best friend. Muji is going to become your best friend. Hell, Muji is my best friend anyway.
Finally, the classes that will consume most of your time will be the design classes. There are 4 of these in lower division. The point of these classes is to allow you to learn all the principles that you've learned in your other classes and apply them to create your very own designs. You'll learn about the fundamentals or principles of design. You'll learn what a concept is and how to generate one. You'll learn how to make diagrams that help you understand how neighborhoods are put together. And of course, you're going to be designing a lot. These are the classes that most students enjoy. The first and second design level, you're going to focus a lot on drawing or drafting by hand. You'll be making a lot of models by hand as well. Your projects will be small, and you might have more of them each semester because the point is to practice on as many different types of designs as possible. My first semester consisted a lot of spatial models and a pavilion. The pavilion was my favorite project that semester because all the other spatial composition projects felt way too random to me and I really had no idea what I was doing.
Now, something I will say, if you suck at woodworking, before you sign up, you may want to take a woodworking class, a wood mill class. If you just suck at everything, take as many classes as you can because you're going to want to learn everything. But they will teach you, but if you can go in a little bit ahead of the curve or just at the curve, you're going to do much better. Let's let him get his ad rev in. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you too, Mom.
As you advance in your design classes, your projects will grow more and more complex, and your professors will expect your designs to become more sophisticated. You will also rely on computer software to keep up with the demand of the work that they ask you for. You will be using programs like AutoCAD to make 2D plans, Rhino and SketchUp to create 3D volumes, Maya and 3ds Max to create really interesting 3D volumes, Revit to speed up your production speed, V-Ray to render, and Photoshop and InDesign to add the finishing touches. These are just to name a few. You don't need to know all the programs I just mentioned, by the way.
True and false there. So here's the thing. Most schools are going to teach you AutoCAD. That's going to be most schools are going to teach you basic AutoCAD. Now, what they teach you above that depends on. I'm going to take you just through UAA, University of Alaska Anchorage. They base you out on AutoCAD because the state only needs so many architects and so many engineers. So they start everyone on AutoCAD, and that's where they're going to pretty much leave you. They will dabble into a couple other things, but AutoCAD is their big thing. If you want to learn more, either you have to go take courses outside of school, or you're going to have to wait until you're upper class. And upper class, they don't have. University of Alaska Anchorage only has architectural engineering technology. University of Alaska Fairbanks don't even have an associate's degree. They only have certificates in drafting. So you're going to have to go somewhere else to learn like SketchUp, which people say SketchUp is easy to learn. No, it's not. Revit is not easy to learn. You're going to have to go somewhere else with that. And the bad thing is, if the school you go to uses those things, then you better hope you can catch up really fast, or else you're going to get left behind. And that's the bad thing. In your lower class, you should learn a little mix of everything, not just AutoCAD, AutoCAD, AutoCAD. You should learn everything so you can compete with anyone, anywhere you go. But then again, Alaska needs more draftsmen and technologists, not more architects. So Alaska Anchorage and Alaska Fairbanks, they only go for what the state needs, not what everyone needs. That's why we have a brain drain in Alaska.
As you move on through the levels, you'll decide which programs will suit your needs best. Your models will also become more complex, and therefore you're going to need to rely on technology to help you as well. You'll use awesome tools like laser cutters that cut objects that you draw out of wood using a very powerful laser, 3D printers, and in some schools, you might even use robotic arms. Of course, you're going to participate in the infamous pinup, and you're going to do this very often. You will have about 3 types of pinups. The first kind is where your professor makes everyone literally stick all the work that they've done on a wall, and everybody takes turn presenting their work to the rest of the class. The second is similar, except everyone pins up, but only one person presents at a time to the professor, while everyone else continues to work on their project. These are common when the professor wants to offer advice on your work while allowing others to continue progressing. The third kind of pinup is the midterm or final pinups. These are the most formal ones. It consists of combining classes and studios together and having each student present their work to other studios, professors, and faculty. These are
Now, the thing about some people, and I did this myself, so don't worry, they get in their feelings about pinups and crits because they feel like they're being attacked. They feel like their professor is picking on them, or they feel like whoever is picking on them. They're really not. They're there to help you learn and progress. So the best thing to do sometimes is take those 5 minutes to cry or do whatever you're going to do, and then move on with the progress. Because if you just sit there and boo-hoo and cry and blow snot, then all you're pretty much doing is you're taking away from your time. You could really progress in learning. So blow your little snot for 5 seconds, move on.
the most nerve-wracking at first because you won't be used to presenting to other classes and professors. These are great though because it's the best way to get an opinion on your work from a lot of fresh new eyes. It's really common that after these kind of pinups, you'll have a lot of new ideas for your projects.
And you'll make a lot of friends who hate the professors as well. Me included.
Once you reach upper division, your projects will be extremely complex, requiring you to work in teams for some of them. You'll be learning about structures and you'll take a few classes that will teach you how to calculate successful structures for your very own projects. You'll continue learning about history and theory, and you'll also start learning about materials and how they're put together in detail in an actual project. Finally, you'll take classes that teach you how to put professional sets of architectural drawings together, and at the very end, you'll do your thesis project.
Now, granted, some of this doesn't happen at the lower level if you're just getting your associates to move on to being like a draftsman or technologist. You won't do all the upper level stuff. If you're only doing a 4-year, then depending on the school, if you're doing a 4-year only, you may do some of this, you may not. If you're doing a 5-year, you're doing that thesis. Good luck.
The definition of thesis really depends on your school and your professor, but in my case, it was 2 semesters long, and my thesis professor allowed me to pick my own topic. Once my topic was chosen, my thesis professor guided me by giving me tasks to complete each week. Some weeks I had to email companies, other weeks I had to meet up with these companies. Sometimes I had to travel to sites to gather inspiration and information. Thesis was something that always worried me in architecture because I never knew what I wanted to pick as my thesis project. As a matter of fact, this was very common with other students. If you're like me, I want to tell you not to worry about what your topic will be, if your school allows you to pick your own topic, of course. What I will tell you is that every semester, pay very close attention to what interests you in architecture. It doesn't matter if you're very specific or very general, but every time you think of something that intrigues you, write it down. When it's time for you to pick a thesis project, you'll have a long list of things that have interested you in architecture along the way. I'm sure that many of you watching this who are interested in studying architecture are probably very nervous and are thinking about choosing another career. But first, I want to point out a couple of things.
Sure, go
Number
for
one,
it.
this was made based on my own experience. Although architecture school is very similar universally, there are still major differences that can impact your experience. Number 2 is that the part that intimidates most students is the pinups, the public speaking part. I don't think that you should pick a new career simply because you feel like you won't be able to speak in public. As a matter of fact, before I studied architecture, I was a really quiet person that got nervous when the spotlight was put on me. Today I'm still quiet and I still do get nervous when they put the spotlight on me, but I know how to handle that situation way better. This is only because of the amount of public speaking I did when I was in school. So if you're shy or nervous or quiet, don't let that discourage you. You'll get better at speaking in public, and after a while, it will seem very natural to you, and you'll be so grateful you did this. I hope this video has given you an idea of what architecture school is like. It's really challenging at times, but
Yeah, I mean, architecture school is not the worst thing you could ever do in your life. Trust me, I married a person off of Facebook, so I know the worst thing you can do in life. Don't marry anyone you just met off Facebook, especially Facebook Market. I see why someone put her on there. I'm joking. Maybe.
it's also really fun. You'll learn a lot, and you'll make a lot of great friends. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. See you down in the comments.
Good dude, cool dude, did his thing. Can't really fault him for this video. He made a very good video here, and it's very realistic. Now, I will say every architecture school is different, so please do your own research into the school that you are looking at or going to. There's a lot of people who go to a lot of different schools. And every school experience is different. And even if you choose the same school as someone else chose, please understand things over time, they change. And as times change, the teaching methods, some of the professors change. So please take everything with 3 grains of salt. The rock salt, the one that you have to grind up to put on your food. Take it with those grains of salt, because while there is some truth base to it, as things change, maybe those things have changed. Anyway, go like and subscribe, Mooch, and tell Mooch that the next video he makes, he needs to have some crumble cookies somewhere in there, because Mr. Mooch, I didn't see any crumble cookie, so please, the next video you make, crumble cookie, please.